Hello and welcome to this new blog post where we want to show you today how you can use standard Dynamics and Power Platform tools to create a Lego rental app that makes use of IoT devices. Um, and yeah, that can give you some ideas how you can basically apply something similar, probably more advanced, in your own environment. So let's start with an overview. And what I want to show you first are the elements that I use in the following. Yeah? So let's stick first on the elements and then I show you the process, how it works. So the first element that I have are the resources. The resources I set up kind of different Lego devices as dummy rooms. And I explain you shortly why dummy rooms in Office. These um, these vehicles are then available in the Power App by making use of the standard template, book a room. So if you open the Power App templates, you can find this standard app, book a room. And because I do not want to change many things, I just said, okay, these vehicles here, they are just dummy rooms. Why? Because 50% of the solution is already built. If I just make use of that. Then another advantage is I do not have double bookings, so I can prevent that people book a vehicle twice, because that's already incorporated into the standard Book My Room app. And then I can extend it and include Dataverse and Dynamics365 integrations. So the next element, in addition to resources and the Power App, is a customer. And for the customer, I basically allow them to log into my app, to create new customer accounts if they are not already a customer. Also, the customer can check the availability of the resources in real time. This is basically a standard feature of this Power App that I showed you before. They can make a booking and then I send some email confirmations out to let the customer know what he booked. And then, of course, the customer data is something that I have in Dynamics. Therefore, I synced the Dynamics customer data with the ones that the customer can choose by means of Dataverse. So I basically created a virtual entity from which a customer can select his record or create a new one. And then, of course, the resources, they are my vehicles. For them, I created also a table in Dataverse. And I also created a rental table because later on I will need to send the customer an invoice. So these are the different elements that I used. Now let's have a look at the process. So the process starts as follows. First, the customer logs into the app and makes a booking. He checks what is available, what kind of vehicle he likes, how long he wants to rent it, and then he books it. With the booking, I automatically get an blocker in my Outlook calendar. That's a standard feature of the Book My Room app. And then I extended it a bit and sent the customer a reservation confirmation email. I said basically, okay, I want to let the customer know that he booked something. The next step is then, of course, with the creation of this booking, I create a rental contract in my new Dataverse table. So I set up a new table and there I just put things like customer account, the vehicle, when the rental starts, and so on. And then once the rental time is finished and the customer returns his resource or his vehicle, then I update the rental contract and I create an invoice for him out of Dynamics. And of course, the other thing is I create also a use-based depreciation based on the kilometers that are traveled with the vehicle. I'm not doing this on an individual customer or rental contract basis, but at the end of the month. So I say at the end of the month, I know how many kilometers or miles were driven with this vehicle, and then I can calculate this use-based depreciation. And now the separation. At the beginning, I indicated that I want to do something with IoT here, but for this first blog post here, we will have a look at how we can manually update the return data, so something like the mileage and so on. And then in the next blog post, we will dig deeper into this IoT sensor, because it will take a little bit of time, and it would just be too much for a single blog post. But now, after all of this talking, let's have a look at the demo. Okay, I'm now here in PowerApps, and what I want to show you first is the app that I used, and that is this one, Book a Room. So if you open PowerApps, if you create a new app and search for book, then you will find this app. And of course, I mean, I adjusted this a bit to make it more colorful and yeah, in a way that fits my purposes. So here on the starting screen, I basically have two functionalities. The first one is to rent something, and the second one is to return something. And maybe let us go first through the rental process and then dig deeper in how I did that. So first, the rental process starts here with a selection. And you see here, for this time period, I have only this Lego hovercraft available. So if we select a different time slot, so let's say from 5 for half an hour, and it's all from the booking app, from the Book My Room app. So I did not change anything except the colors and the heading here on this side. So then you see, okay, from 5 to 5:30, I have other vehicles available, and then I click on that. So this one is basically the room selection here. And the rooms that I have available, they come from here. These are the rooms. What you see here below is from a table that I created. Because I do not only want to see the name, I also want to track information like, hey, what kind of vehicle is that? How many doors does it have? What is the rate per hour and so on. And this information is tracked in a separate table. And the table that I used is here, the rental vehicles table. And here I basically have the 3 vehicles. And if I want, I can update them through this app. So here on the landing screen, I have basically a secret button, that's this one, that shows me the available vehicles that I have in the table, with some information on the kilometers, the rate and so on, and then I have some functions to update them. And if you go back, then on this side here at the bottom, this one is just a different gallery. So you see here gallery. And then the way how these two are linked, the rooms and this gallery, is by the name. So this one, when you select this, it sets a variable that filters here the gallery. So that's a very simple way how to realize that. And then the other thing is here you see, if I'm from 4:30 to 5, I can only rent this vehicle. So let me go into play mode. There's only this Lego hovercraft available. Why is that? Well, because in the calendar that is linked to my account, you can see from 4:30 I have already a booking for the magic car and for the racing car through this time. So 2 of my cars are already out, and that's why only the hovercraft is available for this time. If I click on a different time, let's say 5 to 5:30, and save that, then I have other vehicles available. So then I can rent the magic car again. And this is all basically standard apart from this selection here. Then the next thing is, okay, if you want to rent something, then you need to provide or check your customer details. And that's what I did here. So there's a button that allows you to select here your customer ID. And this customer ID comes from Dynamics. So here's Dynamics. Here I have, this is my customer, the one that I always use, my most favorite one. And then you can just select it and then check or update the existing account details. Of course, I mean, if you are doing this in a live scenario or in a real world application, then you need a login site here, yeah, where the customer has a password and a ID and can then log in. Yeah, but for my purposes, it is just sufficient to select this here and then check the information. So that's the customer information. Yeah, and if you want to update something, then I have here a form that says, okay, let's say the driving license number is 999. So let's see, this is the current driving license number. If we update this one, then an update should be made in Dynamics. So let's quickly double check that. Oh, it lost connection. Then let's see if we can quickly open this customer account again and then double check whether the number has been changed or updated. Yeah. So if we scroll down, then we have here this number. So once the customer confirmed all of his data, then there is this complete booking button which sets a variable, and this variable makes then this booking button here available. So if I click this booking button, a couple of things happen. Number one is a rental contract is created. Number two is the customer gets a kind of email confirmation. Yeah. Let's see if this works. So from 5 to 5:30, the customer booked this vehicle. And if things worked okay, then he should receive an email. So he sees here confirmation of the Lego vehicle. So this is the vehicle he rented. Thanks for your booking. And here on top you see the contract ID. So behind the scenes a contract ID was created with the customer number. So DE25. And then we have here the vehicle and then the kilometers, the starting kilometers. So how was this done? Well, if we close that, then I added here a site simply by adding new screen and then saying email, where enter the email details. And the email details, they are just filled out based on variables. So for example, here I select the vehicle that was selected. Then the customer, because I know the customer, I can set a variable that gives me the customer email address and that is filled in here. And all of this is done when when this one opens. So if we go to on visible and open that one here a bit, then here at the bottom you see this is the part that I added. And there's a collection of my people. Where I basically grab the customer and put them in the recipient of this email. So that's the way how he gets the email. And then the other part is that we create a rental contract, and the rental contract is then basically here created also by numbers and elements that I grabbed. So here I have the customer ID, I have the vehicle, the rental from and to time. These are all variables that I fill here basically. And what this does is creating a new line in a new table. So here in PowerApps, I have here a rental table. So in this rental table, I basically track all of these vehicles that I rent out. So here's Harry's car. For 40, this is the time when it was rented, and where I track all of this data. So basically I know which customer has the car and is it currently rented. So if I go back into my app, and if I'm simulating now, I'm a different customer, and if I open that one here, and let's say I want to rent also this magical car, then you see it's not available because it's blocked, it's rented to another customer, and the blocking is done here. So you see here in the calendar of the user to which this account is linked. So this is the admin center, where I have the resources. And here you see that there's a blocking done. You also get a kind of email, which is all part of this Book My Room app. So basically it says here's a booking of a room, and then it automatically sets this blocker into my calendar so that nobody else can kind of double book the car. And that's why you see here only one for this time. If you change the time, let's say to 6, for 1 hour, then you see, oh, hey, the cars are available again. And that's how this one works. Okay, good. So now the customer has received his confirmation. We have the rental contract set up, and now the next thing is to basically return the car. So once the customer is finished, he would go again to this app and say, okay, I want to return something. So, and now that's my customer. It defaults to this rental contract that he has. And what I've asked the customer to fill is basically these two things. I say, okay, when did you return the car? So let's say 17:45. And that's just for my information. I don't use this to create a punishment, to create an extra fee, to check the availability based on this. It's just for my own information. You can extend this and of course use it for all of the other things that I mentioned. But for my purposes, what counts for the invoice is basically just the mileage at the end. So let's say if we have 599 at the end, then I say, okay, I'm finished with my return. I process the return, and that is basically what is going on. With the end of the return, a couple of things happen. And the first one, if we go to the vehicle setup again, you see that the current kilometers is updated. So I update my vehicles table. The other thing is the rental contract is also updated. So basically here in this contract, I basically enter the ending kilometers and the ending time. And then what I have to do, or what is basically done for me, is basically here a flow that says, okay, if the customer returned this thing, then send him an email. Not an email, but a new invoice. And you see this is already finished. It succeeded. But let us have a look at how it works. So basically, this flow runs when there is a modification in this rental table. Then I read rental number, vehicle ID, mileage start and end, and so on. And here in the vehicles, I also do some updates, for example, to kilometers. And then I read all the pricing data to create a free text invoice header and free text invoice line. So that should be done in Dynamics. And then I send an email to my accountant. I say, okay, hey, this is my accountant. Once the invoice is created, please check it. So let's see if this accountant got an email. And yeah, here it is. So it says, okay, the customer has a new invoice. Check it and maybe add all the financial data that the customer needs. So let's go in and check the invoice that was created. So it should be not posted. So that's this one. And then you see here, this is the rental contract. So at the beginning, we had 499 kilometers. I do not invoice the customer based on the kilometers, but on the time. And because he rented only half an hour, he gets charged half an hour. The kilometers are then used later for calculating the depreciation. But I will show you this once we are finished with this part. So this is the basic invoice that he gets. And then I can post it. And here, these parameters are basically set in a way that an electronic invoice is sent out to the customer and transferred to his mailbox. If you do not remember how electronic invoices or electronic reporting works, have a look at my previous blog posts where I show you this in detail. So now we have here invoice 16 created. So if we refresh that, then the customer gets his Lego invoice number 16. So that's the invoice, that's the quantity, and that's the price. So the customer is basically finished. So he got everything, he got his confirmation, and now after the return he got his invoice. So what is still missing is the depreciation. And for that I built another flow that is run at the end of the month only. So if I go into that, then I do not want to run a depreciation after each rental. Usually I'm doing this once a month, so I have a trigger for a monthly transaction, and we will do this later manually. Otherwise we would have to wait a couple of days here. Then I get from these rental vehicles, I get the starting and the ending kilometers, and then I basically read all the data, do some updates to the rental table, and finally I will create here the consumption factors. Before we do that, and before I run this report, let me show you how this rental depreciation table looks like. And I opened that here in Excel. So what you see here are the vehicles and the mileage at the end, at the beginning and at the end of the month. So beginning, end, for February. And then we have here March. And now if we run it, we simulate, we would be end of March, and we want to have the mileage at the end of the month. And the mileage at the end of the month of March is the mileage at the beginning of April. And then April we run the process again. But let us see what happens if we run this depreciation thing. But before I click run, another thing. Here in the fixed assets, I have my vehicles set up as separate fixed assets. So if this opens, then we should see, hopefully soon, 3 vehicles that make use of a usage-based depreciation. Let me try to open this again. I don't know what's so slow here. And maybe we can try to navigate again to my fixed assets. So here I have these 3 vehicles. The other ones are just for testing. And if you open the books, then you will see that they have here consumption factors set up. And if I open these consumption factors, then you see I have only one old record. And the idea is, of course, now we are at the end, we simulate we are at the end of March 2022, and now we want to have the kilometers traveled within the months set up here as the quantities, so that when we run the depreciation, we can then just have it based on the travel distance. So let's see if this works. So it should not take too long. Okay, so here it succeeded. So if we refresh this one, then you see, okay, the racing car was driving 100 kilometers. With the magic car, we were driving 588 kilometers in this month, and with this Hoover, we were driving 1170. So how is this calculated, and how does the table look like? So if we go back here, so these were the transactions beginning of the month, and now if we refresh that, we should see additional lines. You see here the kilometers when the flow runs, so at the end of the month, and then the beginning mileage for the next month is basically the ending one. So that's how this flow works, and that's how it calculates the kilometers. So the difference between these two numbers is then what you see in the depreciation table. So for example, 210 minus 110 for the racing car. That's what we should see here as 100. So if we look at the Hoover, we have 2270 minus 1100 gives us this, and so on. So that's how this flow is calculating all of these things. And then at the next month, so end of April, when you run it again, you will create 3 lines for May, and the ending balance will then be the beginning balance. So all of this can be done out of the box, just with a simple app and a bit Power Automate. Okay, so that's it. What I want to show you here, how this app works. And of course, next time when we enter the customer return, so let's open this. Then the idea is, of course, here to have the IoT sensor filling this data automatically. Okay, but that's it for today. Let's go back to my PowerPoint for some closing notes. So after this demo, the question is, of course, what is next? And as we indicated, we will try to update the travel data from the Lego vehicles by making use of IoT sensor. Whether this will work or not is not clear yet, but we will try, and let's see what we will come up with. So stay tuned and also follow us for the next post, where we can hopefully find a solution how to connect this IoT sensor that we still have to build with this Power App. But for today, we would like to thank you very much for watching and listening. Hope you found it interesting. And then let's close this post for today. And then looking forward to seeing you next time. So, hello, David. I'm here in the dungeons because of COVID. Where are you actually now?
I'm in a Minecraft world.
Ah, Minecraft. Wow, looks interesting. Yeah. But how did you find the app that we built?
I found the scores, but I want that you clean my Lego and I want money for borrowing my Lego.
You want that I clean this Lego stuff, okay, because of COVID, yeah. And then the money, yeah, we have to still talk about, maybe after this recording. But if you get a borrowing fee, then you have to help me next time building the sensor. Deal? Yeah, okay. Deal. Okay, good. Then let's say thank you very much to all visitors, and then till next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.